Okay, everybody. Today we are going to go over one of the mysteries of Telemark boots. And specifically today we're going to be going over how Scarpa works in terms of sizing. So one of the common questions that we get is half sizes versus whole sizes. Across all Telemark boots in modern times, last 20 years, there's a misconception that half sizes actually exist. So I kind of want to go through this mystery a little bit and kind of explain what's going on so you can kind of understand it a little bit better. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking, I've got a Scarpa TX Comp NTN boot and a Scarpa TX Pro NTN boot. So I've pulled the liners out here already, but just so you know, this TX Pro right here is a 27.0 Mondo. Okay, so it's around like a men's 9 or so if you were to do the conversion. The TX Pro right here is a 26.5 Mondo. So that's basically the conversion of like an 8.5. So one of the things we need to go over first is where sizing breaks in Scarpa. And to go over that, it's pretty simple. We say that Scarpa breaks on the half size. So that means that on the 26.5, we start a new shell size, okay? And so the shell size is actually the length of the shell of the actual boot. So on a newer boot like this, you'll actually notice right here there's a stamp and it'll say 307 millimeters, okay? So that's our 26.5 is 307 millimeters in the shell size, okay? So I'm gonna set that aside. We bring over the 27.0, okay? And we're gonna look here, 307 millimeters. It's an identical shell. So this was kind of the first point we need to make, is that a 26.5 and a 27.0 in Scarpa across all the 75 millimeter and the NTN boots, it's identical. So it breaks on the half, it starts, breaks or starts is a good way to think about it. 26.5, 27, identical boots, okay? So now we kind of get into where a lot of discrepancy happens, because a lot of times people come in to the shop and maybe we have a 26.5 and they're like, no, I'm a 27.0 or vice versa. They're a 26.5 and we only have a 27 and they're not really sure. We're like, no, it's the exact same boot. And this is kind of where it gets difficult. And so I thought this would be a fantastic opportunity to do a video that explains what's going on. So I'm gonna take these away for a second. And what I'm gonna do is I've got a ruler here and a couple speed squares, and I'm gonna show you what's going on. The first thing before I do this little measurement to kind of show you what's happening with that is I wanna go inside of these unmolded, and it's important, these are both not molded, they're brand new out of the box, and show you one distinct difference. So if I go into the 26.5 liner, you'll notice the stock insole is stamped 26.0. So right off the bat, that should raise questions based on what I just said, because a 26.0 Mondo would be the shell size below, okay? Because it starts on the 26.5. But that's the first distinct difference of the 26.5 liner, is that it has a 26.0 Mondo insole. And then, as we would expect, in the 27, it's stamped 27 right here on the bottom here. So these are a little bit different. You can see there's a little bit difference here on the top. The 27's behind, 26.5's up here, okay? So we have those, and I'm going to set those aside as well. And now what I'm going to do is show you kind of this is nothing too scientific, but this is a way that I just kind of measured it on the ruler so I can show you what's going on. And I just kind of put this back here, put the speed square at the back just so I get the heel at the same spot. And then I kind of put this here, and I measured a line on the ruler down here with a fine tip Sharpie, okay? And I did this with both liners to kind of indicate where they're at. And they're not much different. So this is about a 3 millimeter difference, maybe 3.5 millimeter. So to show you up close, you'll see that there's about 3.5 millimeters of difference right here. That is the difference between the length of the unmolded liners in the TX Pro versus the TX Comp. So basically one thing that I always tell people is if you go with the smaller size, we're talking 3.5 millimeters of material difference in an unmolded liner. So technically, the 26.5 liner is smaller by a very small amount. Now, one thing to keep in mind that we always tell people though is with a heat mold, these are thermomoldable liners, meaning that generally speaking, most people get them molded. We heat it up, put hot air into it, it makes this more malleable, and then we mold it to your foot, and that's one way to shape it to the foot. Most people are going to do that. I have to do it. For instance, new boots are just too hard on my feet, so I like to do that. You may have a little bit smaller, 3.5 millimeters difference. And some people that like that really tight feel, they want to pack it out as they ski. This might be a better option. But overall, what we have to remember is that no matter which size, 26.5 or 27, you're not changing the size of the boot. So technically speaking, a 26.5, if my foot's closer to a 27, when I heat mold this smaller liner, it's actually going to expand and go outward, and it can fit up to a 27.0 Mondo, okay? And one of the things I actually did is they took some of our rental boot liners and I kind of measured those to give a better idea of what that might look like. And this is a 26.5 rental liner and versus the 26.5 that's unmolded. I'll be honest with you, the one thing that I did notice is because it is just that 3.5 millimeters shorter, as it's packed out, it's kind of given a little more out to that 27 here in terms of fit. And kind of like I was saying, as you ski it more, it's gonna pack out and it can go out to the 27.0. So in Scarpa, that's hopefully gonna solve kind of some mysteries. It's a really common topic because when someone hears from us that the half size and the full size up are the same boot, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And a lot of people just don't believe it. They're like, no, I definitely am the half size smaller. So yes, you're gonna get a little bit of length, 3.5 millimeters. Hopefully I didn't say centimeters in the beginning. 3.5 millimeters of difference. But other than that, it's pretty much an identical boot. So to fill in space, you may want to be using something, that's one thing with the insoles, for instance. quite frankly, I don't use stock insoles. I use a Super Feet in mine. It works good. A little more durable in the back, and it kind of takes up some more space. So that's what I like to do to get a more performance style fit throughout the boot. And there's obviously boot fitting you could do, but I think in general we find that most people, a heat mold for a lot of people is gonna be perfect. And obviously some people do need additional boot fitting for different foot conditions and whatnot. So that's the video today, you guys. Hopefully we've been able to give you some more information about half size to whole size in the Scarpa boots. Like I said, it's for 75 millimeter boots and NTM boots. So if you have a 26.5 or a 27.0 or any half to a full size up from there, it's an identical boot in terms of the sole length on the shell, and you're getting a 3.5 millimeter difference in the liner. So thanks for checking it out. If you like the videos we're doing, you can definitely check out the PayPal link below if you'd like to donate, or you can always shop with us at freeheellife.com. We really appreciate you checking out the videos, and spread telemark always.